Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Big thanks to LitRPG Reads and Paul Bello.
Oh, yeah.
Fine fellow for the inspiration today. His article on homebrewing magic for D&D mages.
Okay.
Find it over at LitRPG Reads. By the way, really got me thinking.
Yeah?
Came out on November 24th, 2024. And let me tell you, it sparked some serious creativity over here.
Yeah.
You know those moments in a game that just stick with you?
Mm-hmm.
I had one recently that ties into this perfectly. Picture this, our party's mage, a gnome illusionist named Fizwick, was facing down a horde of goblins. Now, Fizwick's not exactly known for his brute force,
Right.
but he's clever. Instead of blasting away with fireballs, he conjures an illusory giant spider right in the middle of the goblin ranks.
Okay, I'm hooked. Did it work? Goblins aren't known for their bravery, especially when eight-legged nightmares are involved.
Oh, it worked beautifully. The goblins scattered, convinced they were about to be spider food. It bought us enough time to regroup and eventually turn the tide. That kind of creative spell use is exactly what Bello's article is all about. He dives right into ways to expand spellcasting mechanics and make magic feel more dynamic and engaging, going beyond those basic spell slots and lists.
What's fascinating about Bello's approach is that he provides a structured framework for homebrewing. He doesn't just throw out random ideas, he gives you tools to tailor magic to your specific campaign. He actually lays out a spellcasting framework table with options like ritual casting, spontaneous magic, and even the possibility for spell failures.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. He also suggests tying spells to specific times, locations, or even emotions. Imagine a spell that only works under a full moon, or one that draws power from the caster's rage.
That kind of specificity not only adds flavor and depth to the magic system, but also creates opportunities for truly memorable moments at the table. It's like each spell becomes a puzzle to solve, a challenge to overcome.
Exactly. And speaking of challenges, let's talk about Bello's ideas for dynamic spell effects. He wants to shake things up, move away from spells always having the same predictable results.
The idea is to introduce variability. He uses the example of a fireball. Instead of always having a fixed radius and damage, maybe the fireball's intensity fluctuates based on a dice roll, or its effects are influenced by the environment.
So you're saying one fireball might scorch the earth, creating difficult terrain, while another might ignite flammable objects nearby, causing a chain reaction.
Exactly. It adds an element of surprise and unpredictability, keeping players on their toes. No two fireballs are the same, which makes each encounter feel more dynamic and exciting.
And what about those mages who thrive on chaos? Bello's got them covered too, with his wild magic enhancements. This is where things get really interesting. He takes those unpredictable wild magic surges and cranks them up to 11.
What I find intriguing is how he shifts the focus of wild magic from mere wacky side effects to potentially reality-altering events. Instead of just changing the color of a spell, imagine summoning extraplanar entities or causing localized time distortions.
That's amazing. I can already see the look on my players' faces when a wild magic surge tears open a portal to the abyss. But with all this potential for awesome chaos, we have to talk about balance, right? I mean, we don't want to make mages overpowered.
Bello addresses that concern head-on. He emphasizes the importance of careful playtesting and collaboration between the dungeon master and players. The goal is to create a system that's both exciting and fair, where magic feels powerful but not game-breaking.
He also encourages dungeon managers to tailor the effects to their specific campaigns. So a low magic setting might have more subtle, wild magic surges, while a high magic world could embrace the truly outlandish.
It's all about finding the right balance for your game. And speaking of finding the right balance, Bello's next topic is a doozy: spellcrafting. Imagine a world where players aren't limited to the spells in the rulebook. He proposes a system where players can actually design their own spells.
Now, this is something I've always wanted to try. It would take player agency to a whole new level.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, the idea of balancing player-created spells is a bit daunting.
Bello acknowledges that challenge. He provides a detailed spellcrafting system table in the article outlining various methods for crafting spells, from gathering rare ingredients to performing intricate rituals, along with guidelines for determining their effects and power level.
It sounds like he's really encouraging a collaborative approach to spellcrafting, where the dungeon master and players work together to create something that fits the tone and mechanics of the campaign.
Exactly. It becomes a shared world-building experience. Imagine a player creating a spell that's deeply tied to their character's backstory or the history of the campaign world.
Oh man, the possibilities are endless. We could have spells based on ancient prophecies, forgotten languages, or even the emotional states of the caster.
And let's not forget the potential for truly unique and unexpected effects. Imagine a spell that traps enemies in a loop of repeating actions, or one that transforms objects into their opposite forms, turning a sword into a feather, for example.
Okay, so we've talked about expanding spellcasting mechanics, dynamic effects, wild magic, and even creating entirely new spells. But how do we fuel all this magical awesomeness? Well, Bello has an answer for that too: mana and energy pools. He suggests ditching the traditional spell slot system and instead using a pool of mana that recharges in various ways.
It's a fascinating concept. It introduces an element of resource management to spellcasting. Mages have to make strategic decisions about which spells to cast and when, considering how much mana they have available.
The article even suggests different ways to recharge the mana pool, from meditation and rituals to using magical items or drawing energy from delayed lines.
Imagine a world where mages seek out ancient ruins or powerful artifacts, not just for treasure, but also for their mana replenishing properties. It opens up a whole new dimension for exploration and adventure.
I'm already imagining a quest to find a lost wellspring of magical energy, guarded by elementals or a powerful dragon. But with all this talk of replenishing mana, I have to wonder what happens when a mage pushes their limits. Bello has an answer for that too, and it's a bit risky. He calls it overloading and burnout.
This is where the risk-reward element really comes into play. Bello proposes that mages can push their mana beyond safe limits, potentially unleashing incredibly powerful spells. However, doing so carries significant consequences.
Yeah, he mentions things like exhaustion, loss of control, or even unpredictable magical anomalies. It's a high-stakes gamble.
What I find compelling is how this mechanic could create truly dramatic moments in a game. A mage might risk everything to unleash a devastating spell to save their companions or defeat a powerful enemy, but they could also end up causing more harm than good.
It's a delicate balance. And that's what makes Bello's ideas so captivating. They introduce a layer of complexity and unpredictability to magic that can lead to truly memorable stories and character moments. Speaking of character moments, Bello doesn't just focus on mechanics. He also delves into character customization and role-playing with arcane specializations and focus. He envisions mages choosing a specific magical archetype to specialize in.
This is a fantastic way to encourage players to develop unique and personalized playstyles. Bello provides several examples in his specialization matrix, like elementalists, chronomancers, and voidwalkers. Each specialization would have its own set of unique abilities, spells, and limitations.
I love the idea of tying these specializations to a character's backstory or personality.
Yeah.
A mage who grew up in a secluded forest might become an elementalist, while one fascinated by the passage of time could gravitate towards chronomancy.
It adds a layer of depth and meaning to character development. Mages aren't just casting spells, they're embodying specific philosophies and approaches to magic.
And this concept ties perfectly into Bello's final idea: magical consequences and risks. He wants us to consider the potential ramifications of magic, both good and bad. He's not afraid to explore the dark side of magic where spells can backfire or have unintended consequences. He even provides a consequence table to help dungeon masters generate potential outcomes.
This is where things get really interesting, both from a narrative and a world-building perspective. Imagine a world where a simple miscast spell could trigger a natural disaster, create a political crisis, or even alter the fabric of reality.
It adds a sense of weight and responsibility to magic. Mages have to consider the potential impact of their actions, not just the immediate effects of their spells. It's not all fireballs and teleportations.
And of course, we can't forget the humor that can arise from magical mishaps. Bello includes a set of spell failure tables that inject a bit of lightheartedness into spellcasting mishaps. Summoning the wrong creature, transforming yourself into a potted plant, or unleashing a magical tempest in a crowded tavern. The possibilities for comedic chaos are endless.
And who doesn't love a good dose of chaos? But all joking aside, Bello stresses the importance of campaign integration, ensuring that these homebrew rules mesh seamlessly with the existing campaign setting and storylines. It's not about throwing in random rules for the sake of it. It's about enhancing the overall experience for everyone at the table. He encourages dungeon masters and players to collaborate, discuss their expectations, and tailor these ideas to their specific game.
It's all about finding that sweet spot where homebrew rules enhance the storytelling, deepen the characters, and create a truly immersive and memorable experience. As we delve deeper into Bello's ideas, what strikes me is how he seamlessly blends mechanics and storytelling. It's not just about rolling dice and calculating numbers. It's about using those mechanics to weave richer, more engaging narratives.
That's what makes D&D so captivating, right?
Yep.
It's the perfect blend of strategy, creativity, and collaborative storytelling. And Bello really hits the nail on the head when he talks about spellcrafting.
Yeah.
Imagine a player creating a spell that's intricately woven into their character's backstory.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a healing spell passed down through generations of their family, a combat spell inspired by a moment of triumph or loss, or even a spell that reflects their deepest fears or aspirations.
Think about the depth that adds to the character. Suddenly, it's not just about memorizing spells from a list. It's about creating magic that is uniquely theirs. Magic that tells a story.
And that story doesn't have to be limited to just one character. Bello's homebrew ideas can have ripple effects throughout the entire campaign world. Take the magical consequences concept, for example. If every spell has the potential to create unexpected and far-reaching consequences, the world becomes a much more dynamic and unpredictable place.
Exactly. You're not just playing a game anymore. You're shaping a living, breathing world where magic is a force to be reckoned with, both in its power and its potential for unintended chaos.
It's like that butterfly effect, right? A seemingly insignificant spell cast in a remote village could set off a chain of events that eventually leads to a kingdom's downfall or the awakening of an ancient evil. Talk about high stakes.
And those high stakes create incredible opportunities for role-playing and dramatic tension. Do the players try to cover up their magical mishaps?
Right.
Do they accept responsibility and face the consequences? Or do they embark on a quest to undo the damage they've caused? The possibilities are endless.
I love how Bello encourages us to embrace the unpredictable nature of magic, to view it as a force that can be both beneficial and destructive. It adds a layer of realism and complexity that makes the game world feel more authentic.
And let's not forget the potential for humor. Remember those spell failure tables? Sometimes the most memorable moments in D&D come from the most unexpected and hilarious mishaps.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to see my players' reactions when a teleportation spell goes awry and they end up stranded in the middle of a goblin feast.
Oh.
Or worse, transported into the royal chambers in their undergarments. Those are the stories we'll be laughing about for years to come.
It's those shared moments of absurdity, those unexpected twists and turns that make D&D so much fun. And Bello's ideas give dungeon masters the tools to create those moments organically, using mechanics that are both engaging and entertaining.
You know, when I think about Bello's approach to homebrewing, it reminds me of a master chef experimenting with new recipes. He takes familiar ingredients, the core rules of D&D, and adds his own unique spices and flavors to create something truly special.
That's a fantastic analogy. He's not afraid to tweak, bend, or even break the rules to create something that fits his vision and the needs of his players. It's about embracing the collaborative spirit of D&D, where the dungeon master and players work together to build a world that's both familiar and full of surprises.
And it's not about dictating how things should be. It's about providing a framework, a set of guidelines, and then letting the player's creativity flourish.
Speaking of letting creativity flourish, one of the most innovative ideas Bello introduces is the concept of mana as a limited resource.
Yeah.
It's such a simple change, yet it has the potential to revolutionize how magic works in the game.
Right. Moving away from the traditional spell slot system forces mages to think strategically about their mana reserves. They can't just spam their most powerful spells without consequence. It adds a whole new layer of resource management and decision-making to the game.
And it encourages players to be more creative with their spell choices. Maybe they'll opt for a series of weaker spells to conserve mana, or they'll seek out ways to recharge their mana pool more quickly.
The article mentions several possibilities for mana replenishment: meditation rituals, magical items, even drawing energy from other sources like mally lines or powerful artifacts. Imagine a quest where the party's mage has to find a way to replenish their mana in the middle of a dungeon crawl.
It creates this wonderful sense of urgency and resourcefulness. They might have to negotiate with a reclusive druid who can channel natural energy, or barter with a shady merchant for a potion that can temporarily boost their mana reserves.
And don't forget about the risk-reward aspect of overloading and burnout. Do you push your mana beyond its limits to unleash a devastating spell, knowing that you could suffer severe consequences? It's a gamble that could turn the tide of battle or backfire spectacularly.
That's what makes it so exciting. It's not a guaranteed win. It's a calculated risk that adds tension and drama to the game. It could lead to heroic sacrifices, desperate gambles, and those oh crap moments that make for unforgettable stories.
And speaking of unforgettable stories, I love how Bello encourages us to think outside the box when it comes to how magical power manifests in the game world. It's not just about fireballs and lightning bolts anymore. It's about manipulating the very fabric of reality, tapping into ancient forces, and bending the laws of physics to your will.
Absolutely. Bello's arcane specialization system is a brilliant way to create unique and diverse magical traditions.
Instead of every mage having access to the same spells, We could have specialists who focus on specific aspects of magic. Imagine an illusionist who can weave elaborate fantasies that deceive even the most perceptive observer.
Wow.
A chronomancer who can manipulate time to slow down enemies or speed up allies. Or an elementalist who can command the forces of nature to summon storms, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions.
The key is to think beyond the traditional stereotypes of mages and explore the endless possibilities of magic. What if we had a mage who specialized in manipulating sound?
Ooh.
Creating deafening blasts, subtle whispers, or even illusions of sound that could drive their enemies mad.
Or a mage who could control the very fabric of reality, warping space and time, teleporting objects, or even creating pocket dimensions.
The possibilities are truly limitless.
And that's what makes homebrewing so exciting. It gives us the freedom to break free from the constraints of the rulebooks and create something truly unique and wondrous. A world where magic is as diverse and unpredictable as our imaginations.
It allows us to inject our own creativity and passions into the game world, making it a reflection of our own unique visions.
And most importantly, it's about having fun.
It's about creating those moments of shared laughter, thrilling tension, and epic adventure that will stay with us long after the game is over.
Bello reminds us that D&D is at its core a collaborative storytelling experience, and his homebrew ideas are a set of tools that empower us to craft more captivating narratives, explore deeper themes, and create truly unforgettable moments at the gaming table.
He's giving us a toolbox, a set of guidelines, and encouraging us to go out there and build something awesome, something that reflects our own unique style and the needs of our players.
And as we continue to explore his ideas, I'm struck by how he doesn't shy away from the potential downsides of magic. He acknowledges that it can be a double-edged sword, a force for both good and evil.
It's refreshing to see a homebrew system that acknowledges the weight of wielding magical power. Bello's ideas about consequences and risks add a layer of moral complexity that can lead to really interesting character development and role-playing opportunities.
He's not just talking about those classic, oops, I accidentally turned the king into a toad scenarios. He's encouraging us to consider the broader societal and ethical implications of magic. What if a simple miscast spell could trigger a natural disaster, spark a political crisis, or even alter the very fabric of reality? How would that shape the way people view magic and those who wield it?
It's a fascinating question to explore. Would magic users be revered as powerful heroes or feared as potential threats? Would there be laws and regulations governing the use of magic, or would it be a wild, untamed force that only the bravest or most reckless dare to wield?
I can imagine entire campaigns built around these concepts.
Yeah.
A world where magic is outlawed and those who possess magical abilities are forced to live in hiding or join secret societies.
Oh, wow.
Or a world where magic users are required to register with the authorities and undergo rigorous training and testing before they're allowed to practice their art.
Think about the role-playing possibilities. Do the players choose to uphold the law even if it means limiting their own magical abilities? Or do they rebel against the system, fighting for the freedom to practice magic without restrictions?
And what if there are factions within the magical community itself?
Yeah.
Some advocating for responsible use of magic, others embracing its chaotic and destructive potential. It could create this incredible dynamic where the players are caught in the middle of a magical arms race, forced to choose sides in a conflict that could reshape the very fabric of reality.
These are the kinds of stories that I live for, stories that make you think, that challenge your assumptions about magic and its place in the world, stories that explore the complex and often contradictory nature of power.
And it all starts with that willingness to think outside the box, to embrace the possibilities of homebrew, to ask what if, and see where those questions lead you.
It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible in D&D and creating a game that's truly your own, a reflection of your unique vision and the shared imagination of your players.
Bello's article has given us so much to think about, so many ideas to explore. It's like he's opened up a portal to a world of infinite possibilities, a world where magic is both wondrous and dangerous, awe-inspiring and terrifying.
And the best part is this is just the beginning. These are just a few of the ideas that Bello has shared with us. I've no doubt that there are countless other ways to homebrew magic to create systems and stories that are even more unique and captivating.
And that's the beauty of D&D, isn't it? It's a game that's constantly evolving, adapting to the creativity and imagination of its players. We're not limited by the rules as written. We have the power to shape the game world and the stories we tell within it.
So let's keep experimenting, keep innovating. Keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Who knows what incredible stories we might create together?
Huge thanks again to Paul Bello, fine fellow, for this amazing deep dive inspiration. His article has sparked a fire in our imaginations, and we can't wait to see what kind of magical mayhem we can unleash in our own campaigns.
And as always, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on homebrew magic rules? Have you tried any of these ideas in your own games? What are some of your favorite ways to make magic feel more dynamic, engaging, and unforgettable?
Share your experiences, your successes, your epic failures. We want to hear it all. Leave a comment below, and let's keep this magical conversation going.
Because when it comes to D&D, the only limit is your imagination.